It is no surprise that I love the Nintendo 64, and going for a full North American set of games, and now the worldwide set, I had no idea that this could have been so much easier instead of going out there and buying all of these cartridge games for the Nintendo 64. So this right here, a buddy of mine who actually owns a video game store, he stumbled into these two items with a ton of discs. And essentially what these are, they are non-Nintendo branded. This is essentially piracy back in the day. Back in the late 90s, you could have ordered one of these units here and you would have a way to go ahead and back up all of the Nintendo 64 games by bypassing the lockout chip, and you could have the full library at your own disposal. This was such an insane time where Nintendo just didn't have the power, and people were creating these third-party units to go ahead and use this for further development on Nintendo 64 games, or essentially piracy. These are some crazy items here, and along with my Dr. V64, that is just an insane, crazy find here that someone would have the entire library on all of these discs. So essentially how that worked was, like any of these units here, this one is actually the easiest. So essentially you can go ahead and put this into your console, and then you put the cartridge in here. It'll go ahead and bypass the lockout chip, and then you go ahead and turn it on, and you could either use these. Now there are also units that use the discs as well, and it just turns on and it says either back up or play the game. So this was a quick and easy way that you could just go ahead and have your own cartridges, have your own games at your own disposal. Now that is something that Nintendo did not like. So essentially at one point, the Dr. V64 was essentially banned. So some of these units are rather rare in today's time, or they'll cost you hundreds of dollars like they did back in the day. It's just a neat little oddity that a lot of people just really enjoy for the history of these particular games, and just going ahead and, you know, having these complete sets. These all say N64 ROMs and utilities. They all say games on the outer cases, and it's just really crazy because you could actually put so many games on each of these discs. And then my buddy also had found all of these as well, which say even more ROMs. They say USA on here, so I believe that this is the full North American set of games. Now my particular little add-on, that actually goes on the bottom of the Nintendo 64. So we all remember that DD, that disk drive, that add-on that you could actually use. So essentially they just clip right in here like this CD64, and there's ways where you could just go ahead and hook them up to a computer. There are some extra items on the back here that you just plug in the different ports, and that way you can work and develop your own games on the Nintendo 64. So my V64 over here, my Dr. V64, that little add-on actually helped develop Turok because it was much cheaper than some of the development systems that they would use for some of these games. So when you have these, you know, larger prototype cartridges, these like amazing pieces of history, it's just crazy to think that some of these were used in-house to go ahead and develop their own games. This one is my copy of Sprocket, which is my prototype for Rocket Robot on Wheels. Note that you'll see that it has a lot more going on with it than just a regular cartridge, but this is just so crazy to me that people could pay a few $100s if they had a computer or something to go ahead and get these little zip CDs or just anything else. They could potentially have the full Nintendo 64 library. And I just think it's a crazy oddity that I have in my collection. And then of course my buddy who actually found some of these as well. It's just insane that, you know, you have the full Nintendo 64 library here and just all of these different little odds and ends. So I want to know, do you guys remember these awesome systems from back in the day? Were you a part of, you know, seeing these third-party devices, or were you completely left in the dark and you had no idea that you could actually do this until today, where tons of people are emulating and having these ROMs essentially online so that they could play these Nintendo 64 games? I just want to know what you guys think. And of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out all of my other videos and stay tuned for more.